It's very cool. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Tech Talk. We've got Jason, Stuart, Jason, Sonal online today. So as we've done in the last few times, we'll let people come in and get settled, and we'll get started in a few minutes.
Oh, a bit of a jingle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done, Stu. You've done well.
Hidden talents.
Bit of a dance, Stu.
Yeah.
I've got a techno one to come.
Techno. Stu means techno.
This is Tech Talks coming from your local elevator.
That's where we do all our best pitches, Jace.
Oh, actually, I remember the last time you actually did a pitch. It was the longest elevator.
I told you, I've been up Type A 101. Except that's a very fast elevator.
How many floors is that?
It's more
well,
I'm going to say
101 because it's called 101.
Oh, maybe there's only 100 because, you know, they don't check on the 13th floor, do they? It's bad luck.
Well, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, my lucky number.
We'll probably wait another 30 odd seconds, and then we'll get started. Just to let you know, as you would have seen, we are recording this for social media as well as our own learnings to make sure that we do this better. So appreciate that. So yeah, just a couple more minutes. We're just seeing a few more people coming in through the door. Well, at least a virtual one anyway.
Happy Friday to everyone.
Happy I hope Franco's watching. I'm wearing his t-shirt. Look, I'm wearing the Digital Impact Radio t-shirt.
Oh, that's good.
That's the wrong one. This is all about Tech Talks. So nice background there, Grogan.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, you know.
You should share that. Why don't we all have the same background? Or was that?
I could indeed share that. Yes, I will. I'll put it through on.
I've got
the all you need, Stu.
The light bulb moment.
That's a good idea.
Cool. Welcome everyone. Welcome to Oracle Tech Talks. This is the third session in this pilot. I'm Jason Lowe. I'm joined with Jason Grogan, Stuart, not Jason Coggins, and JR, Jason Reinhardt, and Sonal Gupta. So appreciate you spending your time with us for the next 20 or 30 minutes. And today's sessions, manage multiple databases as one, is as cryptic as the previous sessions that we've had. So we are going to do a bit of around the grounds and quickly just go through what does it mean from a couple of different perspectives. So actually, Jason, I'll start with you, mate, since you've got the massive Oracle Tech Talks logo behind you, just picking it randomly. So what does it mean to you, mate?
Oh, look, to me, I think it means, you know, either using the enterprise manager or EM, as, you know, we call it in the trade, image off of marketplace with some agents out on the databases, or using the new operational insights pages that we now have actually in OCI, or even just using the building console that comes with things like autonomous and the DBCS services. So that's what it means to me. Somewhere I can see everything on pretty much one page.
Yeah, JR, you probably got a different perspective on that.
Well, yeah, it's, you know, I totally agree with Jason. You know, databases are typically complicated environments in large and small organizations. So, you know, the ability to manage it is really important. So that single pane of glass. So that's sort of the viewing and sort of how you do other things. But, you know, my background in consolidation in financial services in banking, you know, there's hundreds of databases around in these organizations. So we went down a path of standardized platforms, standardizing on Oracle, schema consolidation, and then that evolved into multi-tenant and pluggable databases. So, you know, we've got customers who've been doing that for 5-6 years now, since 12.1. We'll get on to autonomous, you know, where that's an element of, you know, consumers use that. So, yeah, like it's trying to, you know, get the consolidation density, get better resource usage by the pluggable containers, pluggable architecture. So
and it's nice. A few years ago we expanded that, didn't we, from 1 free to 3 PDBs for free, so that's quite nice.
Well, exactly. So I was about to. I think that's something, you know. It's a license option, but you know, you can use 3 of them in any database that supports it. So yeah, I think it's definitely something for people to look at. It's really
Cogs,
cool.
Not being a database person.
Did I say that? I
thought I'd get in there, right?
I misread it. I thought it said manage multiple databases as none, which is exactly what. So
I thought this was a no-sequel session, did you?
I don't want to manage a database at all. I use databases all day long, every day, but I don't want to manage them at all. So obviously for me, autonomous comes to mind from not managing it. Having said that, there is a bit of an element of, you know, what's in where do I find stuff, and a security model that is, you know, consistent, because there's nothing worse than scratching around for, you know, passwords or REST API stuff, passwords. So for me, there's a little bit of that piece, but now I'm more than happy not to manage it at all. So thank you, Oracle.
I think that is where the pluggables come in as well, because you do have the DBAs managing the container and the platform, and then even in an on-prem world, someone just creates a pluggable database and all of those capabilities.
Well, I guess that's a question for you, JR, because to explain to people how autonomous does use that technology. So it's what you're talking about, but autonomous is actually using that in the background. I mean, it might be worth just quickly explaining that. When I say quickly.
So before we get into a bit more, I just want to just jump in, because the other element that we sort of talked about from managing multiple databases as one is there's a lot of work around automation and DevOps. So actually doing that as a single point and click with Terraform, TerraGrunt to manage multiple environments just means that, hey, there's I don't necessarily it becomes a fleet of cattle as opposed to pets that I care for. Means that I don't have to worry about whether there's many or just a few. So I just wanted to just point there and just probably put up the poll. And Sonal, I'm just going to launch the poll now. We've actually put it out to the attendees because we've provided a bit of perspective as far as what we thought, but it'd be good to actually get your perspective as far as how you see that question. And then we can actually take a more perspective around how do we actually look at this. So I'm just watching the poll as it's come through. Cool. So we're getting you. Hey, JR, you're doing quite well. You've actually you're leading the poll so far.
Because it's the first one. You just clicked the top one. I was looking for the X, but I clicked Jason's by accident.
All right.
What is it
saying there, JL?
So saying, well, it's got nine have posted under PDBs and multi-tenancy. So,
well, then there's probably so the interesting thing is it's new technology. It's not new technology, but you know, I don't think as many people are using it as they should be. So we almost need a follow-up of, well, are you using it? You know, but
that's true. Actually,
looping back to one of the questions Stuart said, some people question, you know, it's a newer architecture, it's different. You know, is it for me? Our shared autonomous service is you're consuming a pluggable database. So we sell it to customers. So anyone who has any doubts about, you know, the maturity of it, we actually sell it as a discrete unit to customers. You can consume it in our cloud. Absolutely. So I think that answers that sort of question as to whether, you know, it's applicable. And then, you know, we then look at the actual consolidation use cases thereafter. And it's not just consolidation. I think we've touched on a few things. You know, you don't care what it is, Stuart, but you know, if it's important data, you do want to have it secure, backed up, highly available. So I think there's a lot of the things we're talking about all intertwine and overlap, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's really nice to start using PDBs, and the more that do, the better. I mean, because you know, it also makes it easy for the DBAs that we still have, you know, to be able to clone out and do all those nice things, which of course is what we can do in autonomous at the click of a button. But as a good old DBA, even if you're using DBCS with pluggables, you've got those nice features. You can manage your encrypted keys, and you can clone out quite easily.
So it's simple. Are you saying it's simple, Jason G?
I am, of course.
Does anyone have any questions around it being simple?
Oh, elephants in the room.
Oh,
you know, I have an elephant in the room. I'm actually going to try and organise an elephant in the room. I don't know if anyone saw Celebrity Apprentice, where Ross Noble had a zebra. I'm going to try and get an elephant. My kids will love it. So it'll actually be an elephant in the room.
It has to clean up after it, though.
I can't help myself. I'm either going to talk about these things in terms of the cost or the complexity. And what I will say is Gerald Wenzel does a really good talk on microservices and how to use PDBs in a microservices world. The other thing that I think we've probably touched on in the past is migration from on-premise, or even just on-premise, and managing PDBs, because that at the end of the day is the same as we've talked about before. But actually, when you start to get into the nitty-gritty of moving PDBs around and managing them, I mean, where is the simplicity? I mean, you make things sound simple because that's what you do. But Elephant says, nah, it's actually really quite hard. I'm going to get rid of the
I've only been doing it for a lazy 35 plus years, Stu, so yeah, it comes pretty easy to me.
You don't look old
but
enough,
the commands are very straightforward. I mean, actually, a good friend of ours who we hope to have on Tech Talk soon, Tam, she did a really good blog actually on using CDBs and PDBs, and it is very straightforward to use. We should find that out and give people the link to that actually.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because it is to try and sort of promote using them, because they're a great way to consolidate. If you're not ready, or you don't want to consolidate schemas into a single, database, but you do want to have less databases to manage, the containerized database is definitely the way to go. And as you say, we're actually using them for you in shared autonomous, and you get to use them yourself. When it comes to dedicated, you get to build up to 12 CDBs and then drop your autonomous PDBs inside them, which is nice.
But why listen to us? Surely there's a way that people can, see it for themselves.
But wait, there is.
Oh my goodness!
Surely.
Jeez,
Lovely segue, Jace.
How canned is that?
Tell me
like
more.
You scripted it, Jace. Oh, look.
I've been on Top Gear.
Really? Is that how they do it?
It's hilarious, but it's clearly contrived. You've clearly made this up before we started.
Really, like.
Well, we did say it's a pilot, with the handovers are maybe a little clunky, but
no one will ever know
yourself what can you do.
Don't mention
Stu,
it.
could we have a cool and not cool Oracle services board, maybe? Do you think?
Actually,
autonomous would be up there in the cool area, the real cool area, obviously.
One thing I forgot
what do you got on your
for
screen there?
What do you Q&A, for people to put their questions into the Q&A, if they do actually have anything. But what we have, thank you, JR, for your quite interesting prompting in terms of live labs. One of the things that we did pick up on here,
I think it's called.
Great handover, nice segue. Is around the live labs, and I think we did pick up that there were plenty of different options in terms of managing this topic. Well, the topic itself about managing multiple databases in here. Actually, what I'll bring up is actually this one here, JR. Since you talked about Enterprise Manager and some of the things that we're talking about patching, you want to quickly just run through what we're seeing up on screen, and then we can go and have a bit more walkthrough around what this one does.
I think you actually
by JR, you mean
JR,
JT,
or
yeah?
do you mean me?
Actually, Grogan.
Yeah.
Actually.
So as I mentioned earlier, we have a really great marketplace on OCI, and one of the images we have is Enterprise Manager, or EM, latest version. Really easy to drop in there and set up, and it really is easy, Stu. I promise. You just go on and click and run up, choose the size you want for the VM, and run it up, and then a little bit fiddlier when it comes to actually dropping the agents on, but it's not too bad. But it's just if people are used to using Enterprise Manager, and they can even obviously expand this back out to their on-prem as well, but it just gives you a nice place to be able to manage your databases, but also to do patching as well. And as I mentioned earlier, we've got a team mate who really knows this really well, and we will try and get her on in future tech talks. Unfortunately, she's on holiday today, but lucky her. But this is Enterprise Manager is a really good place. Still, you know, it's getting lots of good updates. It's a great place to manage your patching and monitoring, but also things like subsetting and masking as well. I mean, this is still one of the ways to do that, as well as us having the data safe product in OCI, but we still have a lot of great features in there as well. So this is a good live lab for you to go through and actually try these things out.
Is EM letting me manage? Sorry, I'm going to cut you off. Is EM letting me manage across cloud and on-premise?
It will do if you want it to. Yeah, you've got that ability. You'd have to open up or extend your network via a VPN or a direct connect if you want to keep it all private. But yes, it would let you do that. You can also link EMs together as well. Yeah, so you can feed information between them as well.
We're managing as one, aren't we? We so talk about consolidating your EM, but I suppose just drawing this back to, and I remember Martin Lambert doing some when we first launched portable or PDBs and container DBs. I think we were using EM to manage them as well. Is that right?
Yeah, you can do that too. Yeah.
Those.
Yeah, and that is the nice thing. There's a lot of DBA type, things that you can do. Remember, we used to actually load up the Express version of EM with databases in the good old days. So, but obviously this is the fully blown version, and you can definitely do those sorts of management of your data. You connect to your databases and do those sort of DBA type things, all point and click if you want to. But moving on. We've also now with the autonomous database, we've got a console that once you actually start the service up, actually allows you to do a lot of that just without having to install anything extra. And then data, so you can actually manage, do management through there. And then if you want that next level, you can connect to the data safe service. Again, that's a free service that comes with it, and also the operational insights. So we've got new cloud-like ways of doing these things too, but as I say, it doesn't take anything away from EM. It's still good.
One thing I would just add to this one is I imagine a lot of people are already using Enterprise Manager. It's a very sort of standard tool, but the beauty of the live lab is you can get the latest version. You can play with some of the new features without having to do it on your existing one. So this is once again, it gives you the choice of using something without having to upgrade it and play around with it, find the value, and then apply it to your own environment.
And what I feel like about these is that in here, like this one and the EM ones before, is that you can actually reserve a workshop environment itself. What that means is it's actually running within our cloud as part of the live lab environment. So going through the process is booking a time for this with your Oracle account, and then you got the whole Enterprise Manager, things are set up so you can actually walk through what that feels like.
And then if you break it, it doesn't matter because it's your own environment. So it's like test and learn, really get in there. There's so much innovation that Oracle does. Unfortunately, a lot of people lag in its use, and I think these are ways of really getting your hands dirty in isolated environments, which is really cool.
Absolutely.
I know this is hard to believe. I found another elephant. No, I know this is hard to believe. I'm going to get rid of the elephants distracted. I know this is hard to believe, but some people, and I know this is true, are running database in other clouds, which is fine. It's absolutely fine.
Oh my God. No, surely not.
No, well, I've heard rumours. I mean,
oh, really?
No.
I can't believe it.
Multi-cloud strategy, it's a thing. Get over it.
And it's going to be, it's the way of the new world, multi-cloud strategy. With those agents, as long as you can poke holes in your virtual network and drop an agent on there, you can manage those from here as well.
As long as you're going to get the agent pointed, it's all good.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
If that was where you were going with this anyway,
you did preempt my question, which you know, good on you for doing
Our
that.
other name is Clairvoyant.
And that's come on. We talked about the dad jokes. Let's, you know.
Oh, look, that was a segue to our manager Franco, who's manager of the quarter. So, you know, just got a bit of a shout out to Franco there with a dad joke.
That's hideous. That is hideous. So yeah.
Come on.
So I'm also interested from this side, because the other one that from that poll was really around the second option, which was PDBs was there. We talked about enterprise manager a little bit.
Yeah.
What does this mean from autonomous to actually do this across these systems? And probably the other question that I've got is how many applications is in terms of managed applications and managing full stacks, is that, how do we actually do that? Is that any easier? Or
enterprise manager's your friend there too. But as I say, again, a lot of this is moving into the operational insight. So if you are new to the cloud or new to Oracle and you haven't gone down the EM path, it's probably worth looking at operational insights and our security manager and data safe services, because that's all cloud native and sort of, you know, the new way to go with these things. But as I say, if you are used to using EM, absolutely, enterprise manager will give you that full stack management as well. So we're giving you these options. Basically, we're not saying that, you know, our old ways of doing these things are completely dead. They're certainly still here and are still being updated. So it's just good to know that we've got these options.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that is, you know, the fact that we do have autonomous, as I say, it is a pluggable database. We have a lot of processes documented and tools to actually get customers into an autonomous database as a target. But that doesn't mean, so that from a technical perspective, that's a pluggable database. So all of those processes that apply there apply for migrating into container databases, you know, consolidating into those architectures. Like that will be the architecture moving forward over the next few years as well. So, you know, I think it just validates that it's a very viable option. And then, you know, as I've said, environments are complicated and you have to look after a lot. Like people looking after tens or hundreds of databases, you know, you put them together, a lot of the activities are simplified, but then, you know, when you consolidate, there's a bit of complexity as well. So you just have to find the balance, that cost benefit of what you put together, why, and the efficiencies you can get. But definitely something that people should be looking at. And I think we also had a live lab around, you know, once again, getting your hands on this stuff, because it is, you know, you do it without the licenses with the small number that are free, but, you know, why not get a new environment for free? Play with it, you know, get your hands dirty. Yeah.
Jace, while you're on that screen, just type in monitoring into the search. Just type monitoring in there.
Now you're watching my typing skills.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, one of our friends of Tech Talks, Mr. Franco Ucci, manager of the quarter, if I haven't mentioned already, said, "Is there anything that we could, you know, look at?" And you can see from here, monitoring gives you a chance to try the fundamentals for Enterprise Manager and the more complex and compliancy side of things, as well as the one on the left there, just looking at how you can do the management via the console screens within Autonomous as well. So there's a couple there to look at. And there's many more actually in live labs too. But
just Google
certainly they're the ones.
Live labs and get in there. And you know,
absolutely,
there's hundreds of them.
So we'll definitely share the links that we've got in terms of the workshops that we've picked out that we've got up on screen. So we'll definitely share them as follow-ups. I think it really also depends on which to one of the questions that we got is really depends on your perspective of what does that mean in terms of, because we haven't really talked about any of the automation side or any of the things around the integration, like the cloud infrastructure APIs and those kind of things to manage those things, or even whether that's on-prem. So straight into the databases. So there's plenty of things that we could actually plug into this to actually cover that up. Now, we've only got a few more minutes before we need to close out. Cogs, I am going to leave it to you since you haven't really spoke much this time around. so what's your last comments around the topic around managing multiple databases as one?
What's your light bulb moment, Stu?
My light bulb. Well, like I say, I think the reality is there's a lot of tools to do this. The complexity, I think the live labs certainly take away some of the complexity because a lot of the steps are done for you. My question when I do live labs is always, am I typing in a command or clicking a button because it's telling me to, or because I know what I'm doing? And in my experience with the live labs, they're actually really quite nice at explaining what you're trying to do and why you're doing it. So I think the live labs is a very good idea. Interesting, the very first step there, or the use case, is database lifecycle automation, which is the pluggable database side. So again, it's knowing what you didn't know before. There's stuff available that we didn't know was there. So that's kind of my takeaway.
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome.
Very cool.
I agree.
You're about to say something, Grogan.
And just one thing there. Not to mention that in live labs, just to keep Stewie happy, there's lots of stuff around doing, development type stuff too.
Yeah.
Like Apex.
Not just database stuff.
Did we talk about
that
Apex?
in especially for you, Stu. Mate, they got a lot of lovely Apex in there.
There's some awesome Apex ones. Yeah.
Actually, there's a new one that just turned up today about doing JavaScript server side. So
do you just sit there pressing F5? Is that what you do?
Basically, yeah.
Waterbird.
I got told this week that people don't know what F5 means. Refresh.
It's a firewall load balancer.
No. I'm AS400, so it was F5 was refresh.
Wow, AS400.
Oh,
I haven't got a virtualized AS400.
So thank you everyone for actually turning up to today's Tech Talk around managing multiple databases as one. We do have our fourth session in this pilot coming up in a couple of weeks' time, and as equally entertaining, deliver fast analytics and mixed workloads in a single database. So we'll be scratching our heads over the next couple of weeks to figure out what does that really mean.
I know, we like these as one, singles,
Consolidate. So appreciate everyone's time in terms of that. Sonal, let's get the that next poll. I'm just going to launch that poll as we close out. So appreciate everyone's time. If you can answer the poll, just to make sure that we're improving and we're doing the best we can in terms of these things. So, because hey, performance reviews are up. So if you can.
Oh,
seriously. And I think it would make sense if, today the audience has been very quiet. Maybe they want to listen to something else. If guys, you have anything on mind, just let us know.
They're just in awe of our wonderful knowledge that we are imparting, Sonal. That's what it is.
Yeah, a lot of knowledge.
But if they're not, and there is something else they'd like us to talk about, we are open to many different subjects. As long as
it's an open invitation. Yeah, it doesn't have to be via the technical form either. Like
if it's something you are
interested in, let us know.
No, it doesn't. It even doesn't have to be about the database. But remember, everything has to have data stored somewhere, though, Stu.
I told you in the first one, I've spent 5 years, maybe longer than 5 years, telling everyone we're not just a database company anymore. But apparently, we are.
Our acquisitions would tell you otherwise. We have a lot of other companies and applications.
So much more to talk about.
But never forget, we are the database company.
I know we are, yes.
And on that note,
Jason,
thanks for coming today, guys.
Appreciate it. I'll talk later.
Yeah.
So everyone have a good weekend.
Have a good
day.
Enjoy your holiday, Jason.
Enjoy your Friday.
Go have a good game of golf there, JR.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.